Vemula's academic interests span educational psychology, mathematics education, innovative pedagogies, and life skills education. He is the architect of the Inspired Pedagogical Framework, a conceptual model for holistic and inclusive education in the 21st century, and has contributed extensively to discourse on NEP 2020, life skills education, and digital transformation in education. He has authored and edited several books, including Life Skills Across Curriculum 2025, NEP 2020 Philosophy, Indian Philosophical Thoughts and Contributions 2024, Digital Transformation in Education during COVID-19 in 2022, and Life Skill Education in 2015. He has published over 30 research papers in national and international journals of repute, including Q1 Index publications. Dr. Vemula has led and collaborated on major research projects funded by ICSSR, Mizoram University, and the Mizoram Rural Bank. He has supervised 2 Ph.D. scholars and guided 20 M.Ed dissertations. He had presented papers at international conferences, including at Cornell University, USA, and served as a research person for NCRT, CIET, MMTTC, and several universities across India. He is a life member and executive council member of the Indian Association of Life Skills Education at IALCE, and an active member of the Indian Association of Teacher Education and the International Distance Education Association and the National Positive Psychology Association. Once again, I warmly welcome Dr. Vemula Muttu, our faculty members, scholars, and students to this program. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very, you said many things about me, so thank you, as well as respected Dean, School of Education, Pondicherry University, Professor Srikala ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for giving this opportunity to you, and also I really appreciate initiation as taken by the Dr. Devender. We both are from Kakati University. Also, it's my pleasure, and I'm very much happy to interact with the very passionate learners from Pondicherry, Mizoram University, Pondicherry University. So with this part, it's a great opportunity to interact with the youngsters. Not only youngsters, you guys are the future of the nation. I can say when I was in the university, I cleared my UGC NET in the year 2007. Those days, it was very difficulty in descriptive mode. So I cleared my UGC NET 3 times consecutively, 2007, 2008, and 2009. But I can say third time I can clear my UGC NET and JRF. After a long time, 2019, recently, I cleared my set in psychology out of my interest and curiosity. I could able to clear even the set. But here, I would like to tell you one thing, my dear learned colleagues, as well as my dear students. NET is not just an exam. NET is not just an exam, even you don't think like it's a just examination. What is else? What is else? NET it is not just a destination, it is a gateway to becoming a stronger teacher, researcher, and academician. Unless you should have this kind of opinion to prepare for NET examination, you cannot gain. So how a M.Ed or Ph.D. scholar can benefit with this preparation of NET? It's not just clear or crack the UGC NET JRF or eligible of the PhD admission or lecture. Apart from that, a PhD scholar or M.Ed student, a prepare for the NET, they might be strengthened with the teaching aptitude, research methodology, educational psychology, higher education system, ICT and digital learning, data interpretation, and academic communication. So, my dear student friends, if you can able to answer few of my questions, it would be very useful to you. Why should we prepare for UGC NET examination? Why do I want net? Everyone has to be asked yourself, why do I want to net? For what purpose you want to net? You just want to showcase, I cleared my UGC net. Is that purpose? Is it your academic goal? You have to think once before we, dive into the classroom. What kind of teacher do you want to become? What type of teacher? Is it your teaching identity? You want to show your teaching identity to show clear UGC net? Or what research do you want to become? So, if you want to show your research identity, you must prepare for the UGC NET examination. And where do you want to work in future? If you want to work in the university level or under UGC, you must clear your UGC NET. So, what purpose you want to be prepare for this program, and what knowledge gap will NET preparation can fill? So it should fill all the gaps. Like, if you want to go learning the goal of learning something, whatever I said, teaching aptitude, research methodology, ICT skills, higher education system, these gaps can be filled through the preparation of UGC NET. That is the reason everyone has to prepare for UGC NET exam, not just sake of the cracking or just sake of the showcase of clearance of UGC NET. There is another benefit also there. So let us we try to explore here UGC NET 2026. So we try to understand the pattern of UGC NET. You might be know everyone, but few students may get the chance to know again, and some other students also join through WhatsApp and some other YouTube. Here, UGC NET 2000 December. Conducting the UGC or any of the entrance tests organized by the NTA, National Agency, the examination report, computer-based test. So I'm requesting few of our friends and students, please mute. Otherwise, I will mute from my end. Yeah. So thank you. Here we have two papers. Shilpa, can you mute your voice, Shilpa? Right. So here we have two papers, like paper 1, paper 2. The examination is going to be organized, not only this time, since few years NTA is organizing all the national level examinations. So here the paper 1, paper 2, the duration of the time is the 3 hours, and the total questions are 150. Here we can see 50 plus 100 questions, 50 questions from the paper 1 and 100 questions from paper 2. Together 300 marks. It means each question carry 2 marks. There is no negative marks. This is one of the additional benefit of attending for UGC NET examination. So if there is a negative marks, it's very difficult to opt a appropriate answer out of 4 options. So in any pattern of examinations, there are 4 options. If you can observe, out of the 4 options, there is a right option portion or proportionate is only 25%. Right option proportion is the 25%, remaining 70% is the 75% is the wrong option. So if anybody can opt out of 4 without any proper idea, proper knowledge, there is no scope to select correct option. Why they have to prepare like this? To check the discrimination knowledge of the individual. So aspirant has to discriminate which is the correct option. So how can we select the correct option? We have to follow the elimination method, elimination method. Say, for example, here there are 1, 2, 3, 4 options. We have to check the elimination. If fourth one is not correct, then we go to the third one. If third one is not correct, then we go to the second one. If second one is not correct, then we can say first one is the right option. So this is called the elimination method. Sometimes you don't know the exact answer, but if you know any two options out of the four, you also can trace out which is the right answer for the question. So that is the best way of the selecting appropriate answer for the given question. So that is the one best way of the getting right option. So here the website is there, the purpose. Here there are three types of eligibility for UGC NET. One is the JRF and second one is the assistant professor. Very recently, since last 3 years, they are offering, for PhD admission eligible. So who clear there under three category. If someone is qualified in the JRF, someone may be qualified assistant professor, and someone might be qualified in the get into admission into the PhD program. So there are three types of eligibilities are there, but there is a criteria for selection of the JRF. Uh, as per my knowledge, they used to select, I think, 1% of the aspirants for JRF, only 1%. So if you can focus for JRF, at least you can get assistant professor eligibility. Then you also can get for get into the PhD admissions. So the way you have to prepare. We try to understand the syllabus of the paper 1. So here we have a 10 units. Even in the paper 1 and paper 2, we can see 10 units in the paper 1. So as we see previous slide, from paper 1, 50 questions. Each question carries 2 marks. It means 100 marks. 100 marks. So here, out of 10 units, you can expect 5 from each unit. 5 questions from each unit. So here, if you go through, this is kind of mind mapping to understand the paper 1 content. Here, teaching aptitude, research aptitude, and reading comprehension, communication, mathematical reasoning and aptitude, logical reasoning, and information and communication technology, people and development and environment, and higher education system. So if you look at the paper 1, one way or other way, M.Ed and PhD scholars in education, they benefited a lot indirectly. If you can check the scenario of qualifying candidates from the Department of Education might be very high every time with compare with the other departments. Why? There is a lot of advantage for the M.Ed and PhD scholars teaching aptitude exclusively, which is very benefit to the education students. Research aptitude as well. It's a very advantage to the education aspirants. Higher education system as well. You can learn so many things from the perspective in education related to the higher education system. So these three are very major aspects, are components in the paper 1. And rest of the things, if you can understand data interpretation, logical reasoning, mathematical reasoning, these comes from ability of mathematics, reasoning abilities, mathematics abilities, logical abilities. So these cover from the mathematics students. So our B.Ed and M.Ed, it's a kind of multidisciplinary course. many from mathematics background, many from social background, many from language background. That is the reason few of the group of the people also can benefit from this. So that is the reason there is a scope to clear education students a paper one very easily if you compare with the other students. And other thing is here, out of these 10 units, if you can analyze the previous papers, predominantly we can observe few questions repeatedly. There is a much percentage from like, high uh, mathematical reasoning, logical reasoning, and data interpretation and research aptitude. So again, these 4 units are very, very important for clearance of paper one. There are 10, there is no doubt at all. If you can calculate, out of 50 questions, equally, if you want to distribute each unit, you can expect 5. So 5 fours are 20 questions. 20 questions. Sometimes there is no guarantee. They might be cover 5 questions from each unit. There is no any guarantee. It's depend on the paper setter. If they want to feel like research methodology is the one of the very important aspect for the future, a PhD, something else like that, they might be, come up with the 7 questions, 8 questions, 9 questions, even we don't know. So that is the reason I am giving a clear-cut idea. So out of 10, you better to focus 4 plus teaching aptitude. Teaching aptitude. So if you are very, very, very clear about these 5 units, I think you can cover 40 questions. Sometimes 30, at least you can 30 questions. So 30 into 2, 60 marks. 60 marks. So then communication, reading comprehension, and higher education also you can come under the teacher education. So people and environment and information technology also one of the important after these particular 4 units. So this is the way you try to understand the importance of the 10 units, as well as within the 10 units, every aspirant focus on 5 to 6 unit, and moreover education student has to focus on teaching aptitude, research aptitude, and higher education. It's a extra benefit to the teacher education students. Apart from that, if you can focus on the communication, mathematics, and logical reasoning, and data interpretation and information, so 50-50 you can also cover together. This is the scoring subject. Paper 1 is the scoring subject. So who will get more marks in the paper 1? Your chances might be increased to be selected in the 2026 December UGC NET. Then let us we see how to prepare. Here I have prepared one example, one unit. If you want to prepare all the units, so this is the example, the pattern, how to prepare for all the subtopics as given in the individual unit. For example, here if you see the unit 1 is teaching aptitude. So they want to know the attitude of the learner or attitude of the aspirant. So in order to understand, the attitude is different and aptitude is different. So aptitude is it's a abilities they are going to check. So here concept of teaching. So in generally, how can we define the teaching? So there are many definitions of teaching. So you have to by hand particularly some definitions, because paper sitting also depends like that. Some definition, some abbreviations, some formulas, some kind of applications, some matching type of questions, some meta cognitive kind of questions, means like years, they might be matching the years. So this is the pattern of preparation of the any type of examination. So the reason, if any type of particular definitions are there, you have to write down all the definitions throughout the chapter 1 or chapter 2, chapter 10, if there is any particular. For example, for environment, from environment they might be asked what is the sustainable development. So there is a specific definition for the sustainable development in order to preserve something for the future generation, but without any compromise, we have to provide the current generation also. But sometimes in order to preserve something for the future generation, we are unable to provide something for the current generation. That is not the sustainability. So without any compromise, we have to provide everything for the current generation as well. We have to preserve for the future generation. So that is a standard definition of the sustainable development. That type of definitions we have to be clearly make it note. And here the teaching, what is the meaning of teaching here? Teaching has to facilitate. Teaching has to facilitate the learner to acquire the knowledge. Teaching has to facilitate to develop some attitude. Teaching has to facilitate some improve the skills. Teaching has to facilitate acquiring the knowledge, and it has to improve some values, and we can say in shortcut we cause, like for example, values, knowledge, attitude and skills. Attitude and skills. So predominantly any type of teaching has to facilitate, learner has to improve some values and acquire some knowledge, has to improve some attitude, improve some skills. If our teaching cannot facilitate these, there is no meaning of teaching. Teaching is nothing but interaction between the teacher and taught, as well as with respect to the content. Content is also very, very important. So here you can see guiding, facilitating, motivating, and evaluating the learner. And characteristics of the teaching. Characteristics of the teaching or nature of the teaching also you can treat this. Teaching is a purposeful activity. Teaching is a intensive activity. Teaching is a planned activity. Teaching is an interactive activity. Teaching can facilitate you learning. It's an art and science. By nature, it is an art and it is a science. Teaching has to follow certain sequence. Say, for example, phases of teaching. How we can say it is a science? We have to follow certain, sequence, some process that is called phases. Pre-interactive phase, interactive phase, and post-interactive phase. So we must clear about the phases of teaching. And it comes into the learning also. Levels of learning. Levels of learning, like, memory type of learning, understanding type of learning, reflective type of learning, and application type of learning. So that we have to understand very clearly what is the concept of teaching, as well as what is the concept of, learning. And objectives of teaching. So here objectives of teaching, we all know here, sometimes if they want to ask particularly about the Bloom's taxonomy, years also very important. For example, 1956 Bloom's taxonomy. Again, which is revised in the year 2001 revised Bloom's taxonomy. So that is very, very important in matching type of questions. For example, here I have given the cognitive and affective and psychomotor. Simply they might be asked, how many objectives are there in the cognitive? Simply you say 6. How many objectives are there in the affective domain? Like there are 6. And psychomotor domain, there are 6. What are they? And they can also ask one side cognitive, affective and psychomotor. Other side they can give one objective of each domain and they ask you match. So that is the reason teaching should be intensive, purposefully. You have to learn, not just because of, casual preparation. It's not possible to crack UGC NET and JRF. One person, it's not easy. 1%. The filtration of JRF from 1%, I think so. In my time, I know that was from education. We have many universities, state universities. In that particular year, I think I'm the one of the person. In that particular year from education. as per my knowledge. Maybe another person, maybe. So there is a chance for 1%, 2% like that. So we cannot expect everyone can crack the JRF. So if you are, so again, there is another problem. How you can acquire that one. And I think you may have some problem, right, my dear student friends, sir? We are trying our best, but we are unable to, retrieve whatever we prepare like that. Do you have such problem really? Or anyone experience such problem? May I know? You all putting your efforts, but unable to remember, unable to retrieve the content. Can I get some response from the student? Any one of you face this problem? Yes, I try my best, but I'm unable to remember properly like that. Audience, you are not allowed to say.
No, sir.
So it means you can able to remember everything.
No, sir, not everything.
So actually, I didn't get your response. Whether you are really experienced that one, yes, we prepare well, but unable to remember like that. You are saying no in the sense, how can I understand? I don't. Chalo. So why I would like to say that one? There is a pattern of preparation. There is a pattern of preparation. So out of my experience, what I observed from the student, why they are unable to retrieve something. So retrieval, right? The retrieval capacity, which is depend on the retention. The retrieval capacity depends on the retention. The retention is nothing but how one can, as per psychology, how one can register on his brain. It means engrams, how best engrams can be stamped. How it is possible? Whatever you experience, whatever you expose in the environment, everything can be registered properly. Why or not? It means it's depend on the concentration. From where one can concentrate? How it is possible? We cannot buy in the market 1 kilo of concentration, half kilo of concentration. We cannot buy. It should come from interest. Even we cannot borrow interest from others. We have to consent to show our interest. How interest will come? It's come from need. So here, my dear Pondicherry M.Ed and Ph.D scholars, do you really feel like UGC NET is very neat? Do you feel like that? If you feel really, if it is need is the mother of all inventions. So if you want to crack, if you really want to do something with this, you must realize if it is need, then need leads to interest. Interest leads to concentration. Concentration leads to retention. Retention leads to retrieval. Then only you can easily remember whatever you studied well. So this is the process of learning. Unless you feel like it is need, it's not easy to gain some interest. It's not easy. Without interest, you cannot focus. Even right now also, if you don't feel this class is very important to you to crack UGC NET, even you cannot understand the purpose of this classroom. No concentration. If there is no concentration, The information, whatever you are experiencing here, it's not written properly. If you cannot retain, it's not retrieved tomorrow. Simply, I can say, unless someone can deposit money in the bank, it's not possible to withdraw. Is it possible to withdraw? No, no one can withdraw. First, you have to deposit the money. So for depositing money, some people without account also, they feel like, I want to deposit thousands of rupees. First, you open your account. So this is the process of learning very systematically. So here, there are some learning characteristics also there and learning factors also there. Yes, learning affected by some factors like teacher related factors are also there. How teachers are motivating the learners, knowledge of the teachers, skills of the teachers, attitude of these teachers, communication skills of the teachers, classroom management of the teachers, how the teachers are using appropriate methods. That is also, they may ask you like this. How a teacher can select the appropriate method? What are the base for selection of the method? The selection of the method is depend on the nature of the content, first thing. Unless until teacher does not know the types of the content, again, there are types. Either you are going to teach conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, metacognitive knowledge. Based on this type of the knowledge, you have to select the method. For example, you want to develop some concept. For conceptual develop, inductive approach is the best, because we used to say, all the scientists used to inductive approach to formulate the new formulas, to create the new formulas. So whenever you have a clarity about the nature of the content, then a teacher can select the appropriate method. Is it alone? Content knowledge is alone to appropriate the method? Not at all. A teacher should know about the nature of the learner. What is the meaning of the nature of the learner? Strength and weaknesses of the learner, needs of the learner, desires of the learners, interest of the learner. For example, I want to, select the experimental method for one class, but there is no laboratory in our institution. Without laboratory, how you can choose the experimental method? It's not appropriate. So based on the nature of the content, based on the learner strength and weakness, availability of the resources also very important. Then only one teacher can properly execute. If you fail to properly execute, what will happen? Whatever objectives you formulated in the name of lesson plan, it cannot be achieved. So what is the purpose of teaching? Again, it is a purposeful activity. So what purpose we have planned for the teaching? Unless it is not properly executed. So the way we have to understand the conceptual understanding of the each topic. So it's not the easy. That's the reason I told you in the beginning why you are planning to prepare for UGC NET. It's not just the sake of cracking UGC NETs. It's for the sake of, if you want to keep your identity of the teaching profession, then it will strengthen you a lot to understand the purpose of teaching as well, right? And then here we can understand levels of teaching also: memory level, understanding level, reflective level, and the teaching methods also there: learner-centered methods, as well as child-centered method, ABL, activity-based learning, project method, problem-solving method. There are many types of methods also there. And here some effective teaching cycle, teaching objectives, teaching methods, teaching learning activities, assessment, feedback, and improvement. This is the one way of selecting appropriate content for the examination. So what are the sources to collect appropriate information? There are many sources are there. From government websites also. For example, you want to know about the higher education, and if you want to know the NEP 2020. So NEP 2020, what type of reforms? There are school education reforms, teacher education reform to attend 50 hours. What are the school reforms? Instead of 10 plus 2 plus 3, we can say 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. The structure of the schooling, that is the, one of the reform. If they focus on the schemes, which schemes, government of India organizing, one of the very prestigious scheme that is in under the mission mode, FLN, fundamental literacy and numeracy. It has to be achieved by 2026-27, 100% literacy and numeracy among the age group of 6 to 9, the class 1 to 3, under Nipun Bharat, which is started in 2021. If you take any program, NISTA 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, Diksha, they may ask during COVID time, through Diksha, how many school children benefited? So then you have to know how many schools in India. Approximately 15 lakh schools we have. How many students? 25 crore. How many teachers? Above 1 crore teachers we have in India. How much budget allocation for the school education? 4.5%. What NEP 2020 suggested for the budget allocation from GDP? 6%. Before NEP 2020, Kotari Commission also suggested the same thing, 6% of GDP. So some kind of current information also very, very important to crack UGC NET, JRF especially. It's required for us. We have to be updated. So if you are learning all those things, it's not only for cracking UGC NET JRF, it can strengthen the teacher concern towards the teaching profession as well. If you understand the policy of NEP 2020, I'm very happy. During my introduction, one of my, my friend introduced me. I am the architecture of Inspire pedagogical framework. Yes, I can say very, happily how systematically I have been developed the conception of Inspire pedagogy. We all know behavioristic approach, constructivistic approach. Under behavioristic approach, we all following the Herbartian for teaching process. For constructivistic approach, 5E model we are all following. But I was organized in the year 2020, NEP 2020 philosophy sponsored by ICSSR. Since the day I started, what about the holistic approach? It's okay, which is in 1986, which is in 2006. How these contemporary approaches exactly operationalize the principles of NEP 2020 into the classroom. From the day I started my rigorous work to understand the conceptual development of the framework, then slowly I succeed my one-off paper published in the UGC University journals, One Nation, One Pedagogy, to understand the Inspire pedagogical framework under the concept of holistic approach. Later on, we developed a text. We have done some research, and also we applied into life skills. Now I was awarded this one, Inspire pedagogical framework, to organize international seminar coming November 16, 17, 18 in the Mizoram University. Inspire pedagogical framework in teacher education we are going to, deliberate many papers under holistic approach. So that is the development of the Inspire pedagogical framework. So my dear young student friends, I will share with your, teacher, Dr. Devender. If you are interested, please go through it. Then you better to prepare a specific micro teaching on. So we are going to be conduct some context also. So we are going to award some prize money for who is going to prepare the best, micro teaching lesson plan, phase wise. So I'm very happy and glad to share one of my upcoming program as well as developments of inspire pedagogy, because that is required, because NEP 2020 already we completed 6 years, but how we can able to operationalize all the objectives of NEP into the classroom. So UGC NET education syllabus, this is for second paper, education paper. So we are all very familiar with these concepts like educational studies and historical policy, politics and economics of education, learner and learning process, teacher education, curriculum studies, and educational technology, measurement and evaluation, educational management, and inclusive and value-based education. So these days, inclusive education under NEP 2020 also, we are talking much under Samagra. Also, we are talking Samagra started in the year 2018. So if they ask about the Samagra, so how can we understand the concept of Samagra Shiksha? In Indian education system, 18, here I would like to, explain the overview concept of Indian education system. Since 1813, Charter Act. Since 1813, Charter Act. 1835, Macaulay. 1854, Wood Dispatch. Magna Carta of Indian education, we used to call that one. And 1882, Hunter Commission. 1904, Universities Commission, we can say. 1917 to 19, Shodler Commission. 1929, Hartog Commission. 1937, Wood Abet as well as, and basic education, Mahatma Gandhi, Nayi Talim also we can say there. 1944, Sargent Commission. So this is all about colonial period. Pre-independent education policies, committees and commissions, we can say like that. So how the colonial period of education system impacted in India? If you take the 1835 Macaulay, downward filtration method, how they started giving education to the, Indian people on the basis of downward filtration method. You have to learn what is the downward filtration method, who was benefited a lot with this downward filtration method. If they go into the deep, it's very important to understand the conceptual basis. If they ask, where in Indian education system at colonial period, women education was addressed. The first time in the 1854 Wood Dispatch, where the education system in India, the structure of schooling was started. Here only the structure of schooling was started 1854. What are the results of Wood Dispatch? They might be asked sometime directly, what are the results of? We can say the results of this one, like, three universities are established. 1950, 1857, Mumbai, Kolkata, Madras. These are the three universities. So they can ask any different way also. We have to very clear about all these things. If they ask about the curriculum, so curricular framework as well as teacher education, if they ask the teacher education, so National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education 2009. National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education 1988, also there. Still even under construction, National Curriculum for Teacher Education 2023, we started but not yet completed. But if you want to know all the national curriculum frameworks, NCF 1975 first national curriculum framework, then NCF 1988, second NCF 2000, NCF 2005, and NCF Foundation Schools 2022, NCF Secondary Education 2023. So you must very clear about all these particulars of national curriculum frameworks. Panchakoshas, NCF foundations, they mention specifically Panchakoshas. So what type of TLM has prepared for them? NCT has prepared a specific TLM for foundation school students. So if you deeply go into the concept of national curriculum framework, objectives, if you want to know, the NCF 2005 is the very popular one, NCF 2005. Why it's became a popular? Usually every 10 years they used to modify, but since 2005 to 2022, there is no any other NCF. Almost 17 to 18 years. Why? That is the standard of NCF. It's under constructivistic approach. It's under fearless education. It's under burdenless education. Burdenless education as per 1993 ESPOL committee suggestions. So there are many things are added in that NCF 2005. The reason till 2023 secondary education, we don't have any other NCF. So the way, if you can understand the concept of everything here given the syllabus, so then you can, I think so, surely you can get. Right. For example, educational studies. See here, this is something very advanced information they added in the syllabus, like Indian schools of philosophy, Sankhya, Nyaya, Yoga, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa, like that. Even IKS, Indian knowledge system. Under Indian knowledge system, you have to understand the Takshashila Buddhist education system also, Takshashila, Vallabi, all the education system you have to understand. Architecture of Indian, education and scientists. So many IKS, under IKS, you have to learn many things also. What is the contribution toward the educational aims, methods of acquiring the valid knowledge and vidya? So if you talk about Vedic education system, So Vedic education system, the education was started Upanayana. What is the meaning of Upanayana? Teacher has to, chant some Gayatri mantra in the ear of the child. And the Upanayana is very different from hierarchy of the Varna. For example, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. For Brahmana, 8th year, but Shudra, there is no Brahmana, Kshatriya, 10th year, Vaishya, 12th year, like this. If you come to the education system of Buddhist, Upasampada or Pabbaja, Buddhist period, Pabbaja. But this hierarchy is changed for every hierarchy of the Varna. At 8th year, they started their education system. The convocation, Upasampada. Upasampada. So who completed their education system? The highest education system up to 12 years only, means 12 years. If they one started 8th year, up to 12 years means 20 years only they have to continue in the education. That is called Brahmacharya. So Brahmacharya, there is a specific period that is meant for only education.